With only 3 days left on his 12-month parole, a man must do everything in his power to stay out of trouble. Everything about Blindspotting just clicked for me. I'd seen the star Daveed Diggs in a few TV shows over the years, and I always had him pegged as the generic, non-threatening side character. Nothing about his performances in these TV shows really screamed star to me. So when I first heard about Blindspotting, I kind of wrote it off and said, I don't need to see that. Little did I know that Blindspotting is about prejudging someone based on your assumptions. But before I dig into the movie, I gotta talk about Daveed Diggs. The guy that I had already written off is just another generic working actor, had already won a Tony Award and a Grammy Award for his performance in Hamilton. He was also a graduate of Brown University, an Ivy League school, where he was a track star. In fact, he still holds the school record for the 100-meter hurdles. And he is a critically acclaimed hip-hop artist with a very unique voice, both lyrically and his actual voice. In the opening scene of Blindspotting, you are introduced to Daveed Diggs' character, Colin, as he's sitting in a courtroom in a jumpsuit where he's being sentenced to parole after serving a prison sentence. Within seconds, the viewer has profiled this man, much like I did when I saw Daveed Diggs in these other TV shows. And because I've watched so many movies over the years, I kind of know where they're going to go right from the beginning. So within minutes of the movie starting, I had the entire plot in my head. But as the movie progressed, I realized that more and more of my assumptions about where things were going were completely wrong. Now, the actual plot of Blindspotting revolves around the city of Oakland, California, and the gentrification of the city, and how that affects longtime residents. Now, throughout the course of the movie, you meet many of these residents and you hear their stories. But also what the movie is about is two best friends trying to make a life for themselves. Just regular guy stuff. They want to win over the girl. They want to raise their kids to be good people. They want to have a little fun on the side, have a little extra money in their pocket, and they want to stay out of trouble. The structure of the movie is really just a bunch of small 5 or 10 minute vignettes about Oakland and its residents. And every one of those scenes is memorable. A few minutes into the movie, we see a character buy a gun, and you all know the rule. If someone buys a gun in a movie, it has to be used. And the gun is used as the focal point for not one scene, not 2 scenes, not 3 scenes, but 4 pivotal scenes in the movie all revolve around this gun, and each one is more tense than the last. And the dialogue in Blindspotting is some of my all-time favorite movie dialogue. The characters all speak in this hyper-realistic way with very polished and clever phrasing. As an example, there's a scene where a man is trying to sell a boat, and the guy he's trying to sell it to says, "Is it hot or cold though?" asking if the boat is stolen. And the guy responds by saying, "It's warm to the touch, no burn though." I love that. And the first half of the movie is filled with scenes like this. And it's really, really funny and well written. One of the funniest movies of the decade, in my opinion. But then the second half of the movie kicks in, and the tone changes, and it becomes one of the most intense movies of the decade. Now, while I can't pick a favorite scene in Blindspotting, I can tell you that I have shamelessly watched 3 separate scenes from the movie dozens of times on YouTube. And in my opinion, the 2 leads, who are portrayed by Daveed Diggs and his real-life best friend Rafael Casal, have some of the best on-screen chemistry in movie history. I'm comparing them to Abbott and Costello. I'm comparing them to Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart, Chris Farley and David Spade. Seriously, the chemistry is that good. But what really surprised me about Blindspotting is not how much the characters developed over the 90-minute runtime, but how much I feel like I changed in that same 90 minutes. I don't think of myself as biased or judgmental. And I'm sure many of the people watching this video don't think that way about themselves either. But based on how wrong I was about the characters in this movie and the actors who portrayed them, I can't help but wonder how many other assumptions I have about people, places, and things that I am just completely wrong about. It isn't often that a movie makes me re-examine my life, but Blindspotting did just that. And for that reason alone, it is my favorite movie of the decade. But on top of that, when it ended, I had a new favorite hip-hop artist, a new favorite celebrity idol, and a movie that I cannot quit recommending to people.
Guns, locker room talk, running in the cemetery, scorpion bowls, selling hair straighteners, tight t-shirts, and half the cast of Hamilton.